Today I'm going to show you that there is no such thing as luck and there is no such thing as accident. The fact that you were not able to record the process that led to that manifestation doesn't mean it is luck and doesn't mean it is an accident. You know, when David had to recount his experience with the lion and the bear in order to face Goliath, what he was simply doing was to access a time in order to access certain power that he was able to see as at then, to use that same power to fight Goliath. So what I want to show you today is what? How to return pointer from function. So let's prove to you that there is no such thing as luck, and then there's no such thing as what? Accident. Okay. The human body, right, is a convergence of three dimensions, which in themselves are also three dimensions. That is beyond the scope of this class, but I'm just going to introduce it in for you to understand what we want to do. All right. So the human body is a three-dimensional array, which is what? Body, right? Space, time, right? And matter, right? Space, time, and matter. So the human body is actually a convergence of space, 2, time, and 3, matter. Now, each of them have their own three dimensions, which is 3, 3, and 3. So this one gives you a total of 9, right? Like I said, is beyond the scope of this class. But I just brought this in order for you to understand that there is actually no such thing as luck and accident. Everything happens in time. So this is 3, which is the chronos, the kairos, and the aeon. And then this is space, which has to do with your depth, your rows, and your columns. And then the matter too, also in 3 dimensions. Now let's write a program that is going to return a pointer from a function, and then you would understand how to generate random numbers. And at every point in time, you can generate the same random numbers if you know the exact time. But the only reason why you'll be generating different random numbers is because you are moving in time. So the time becomes the seed. So when he said the kingdom of God is like a man planting a seed, that is what he was talking about. So let's write that program. So here I'm going to, first, I will say hash include stdio.h, include time.h, include standard library.h. Now, these are toolboxes that you are going to use. You are going to pull out tools from these toolboxes to write your program. So this first one will enable us print out whatever it is that we are doing on the screen, right? That is the printf. Then this time will allow us to access time. So we can access the 3 dimensions of time. Then the standard library will also allow us to access functions like random functions like srand and random function itself. So that is why we are including them. So we are going to pull out functions from inside this. So the first thing I will do now is to create a function and int, then get rand, get random. Then this is a function. Now, why am I putting this asterisk? This is not a pointer. This is a function. So what this is simply telling you is that this get random is a function that is going to return an address, right? It's a function that is going to return an address. So if I don't put this, here. This is telling you that this is a function that is going to return an integer. But what I want to return is an address. So I am going to put this here to tell you that this is a function that is going to return an address. So the next thing I will do is I'm going to declare an array inside this, and I will say static, right? And the array name, I can call it body. And then this array, I will return 10, right? So I have declared an array, and I'm going to return 10 values, or say 10 bodies. Now, why am I saying it is static? I taught you this in one of my classes. If I don't put this static, I say maybe int, and I return this function, then I'm referencing this body. I will not see it. So by using static, it means that this array will be created in a different location in the memory. So even when I return this function and it's no more, I can still have the address of this array and I access it even while this function is gone. That is why I'm using static, right? Then the next thing I will do is to call my srand. So I will call my srand function srand, right? Then this srand will be expecting value. So I will supply unsigned integer. So that is what it's expecting. Now I will say time, and I will say null. I will explain. Okay, so this is the time function, which is gotten from this time library. Now, the null is telling you that this function is accessing the current time in seconds. So the current time in seconds. So if you say 5:30 p.m., what is that in seconds? That is what it's going to access. And then to return it to this srand as an unsigned integer, right? So that is that. Then here, I am going to use my for loop. Now I've done, so this time is now the seed. So based on this time, I'm going to generate 10 random values based on the time. So anytime I call this function again, based on that current time, it will generate another random values. So if I make this place constant, that is this value constant. So I say rand 100, meaning 100 seconds. It means that every time I call this function, I'm constantly going to generate the same 10 random values. That is why I said there's no such thing as log. Because that manifestation came from a particular seed of time. There were things that led to it. So if you can access that same moment, you can pull out the exact value that is in that time. So every manifestation, every event of your life is stored in time. That is why it has the past, the present, and the future. So those are memory locations that you can always access to pull out whatever value is in them. That is that. So now I'm going to use my for loop to generate 10 random numbers. I will say for int I assign 0, then I less than 10, I plus plus. Inside this my for loop, I will say body I, then I will call my rand function. So my rand function, then I will close this, then I will say return body, right? Then I'll close this my function. So this is my function. I've declared my function, which is what? Get random. And then I've declared an array that is expecting 10 elements. So I'm using this my srand to access the current time. So once that current time is gotten, I'll use my for loop to generate 10 random numbers. So I will be using this rand function to generate the first random number, and I'll put it here. Then I will increment I. Then I is 1. 1 less than 10. That is true. It will come in. It will generate another random number and it will store it in I. I is now what? 1. I've taught you the for loop, so you understand the concept. Once that is done, it will return body. This means it's returning the address of this array. So this array, because it is static, is created in a different place. So you are having this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so this is it. So you are creating 10 random numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But that is not what it's going to give you. They are random numbers. So at every point in time you call this function, it will generate another 10 random numbers because you did not make this value constant. So it's going to access the current time and use that to generate. So this time becomes the seed, right, for this srand. So I've created my function. Now I am going to create my main function. So I will come here and I'll say int main. Inside this my main, I'm going to declare a pointer. So int pointer. So I can say soul, right? So this my soul is declared. Now I will say soul point to what? Get random. Get random. Right? Then I'm going to use my for loop to access that value. So I will just come here. What I will do is I will come here. What should be here, this place, is what I want to write here. So I'll say for int I equals to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, close this. So print F. I will just say, I'll say body, let's just do this. Body percentage D equals to percentage D slash N. Then for this one, I will supply I. For this one, I will supply asterisk. Here will be what? Body plus what? Sorry. So this one will be soul. Then this place will be soul plus 1. Then I will close it. And then I will say return 0. Then this is my curly bracket. I will close it here. All right. All these things should be under this place. So this is my code that I have written. So I told you I'm creating an array because this array is static. So it's going to be in a separate memory. Now this is my main function. So what I did was what? I created a pointer int soul. This is the pointer. And now that pointer is pointing to the address that this get random is going to return. So I am calling this function here. So the moment I call this function, control will go from here to this guy, right? Control will come to this guy. Then it will come in. It will create an array. And it will assign memory allocation. So this place, is static int. So static int. So it's an integer. Now 10 times 4. So it will create 40 bytes in the memory. Then it will come here and it will call this function. This function inside it is expecting this parameter. So I'm calling this time function from this library. So the time function is going to access the current time, and it will return that current time in second, and it will give it to this guy. Now, based on that current time, that is the seed that has been generated. So it is going to start the allocation from that moment. Then it will use a for loop. Inside this for loop, it will call the rand function. The rand function will generate the first number and store it inside this body I, which is what? This first place. So I'm assuming this 1 to 10 are the random numbers that is generating. So it will use the for loop to fill up the space. Then it will return the body, meaning it's returning the address to this array. It will return the address to this array back to this place. Now, that is going to be stored, that address will be stored in this pointer. Now I'm using my for loop to what? Access those values. So for int I, assign 0. Then I will come here, I will print this out on the screen. So for the first one, which is the index, I is 0. It will check. It will come and check I is 0. Then it will come to this place. So I is 0. So this place is what? This place is so plus I. That is what I'm putting there, not so plus 1. So plus I. Now it will check. So plus I is 0, it will come in. I is 0, it will come in. Then at this point, it's going to access asterisk so plus I, which is so plus 0. So sol is what? This is 100. This is 104. This is 108. This is 112, 116, like that. Now, it will print out this on the screen. I would what? So plus I. So sol 0, right? Will be equals to this sol plus I. And the address of sol, which is the pointer, pointing to the first address, which is 100. So 100 plus the date plus 0, right? That will give you 100. And to print out this one is what? The dereference operator will print out what is in that place, 1. Then it will increment I to 1. 1 less than 10, that is true. It will come in. So it will bring sol 1. Then it will come to this place. Using the pointer arithmetic, sol is what? 100. 100 plus 1, so that becomes sol plus 1. That is the same thing as 100 plus 4. And that will move you to this place. So that will assign 2. It will do the same thing like that, and it will print out all these values randomly. Now, the moment you call this function again, it will access this time, and it will print out a different value. So it's always going to print out a different 10 random values based on the time. That time becomes the seed. Now, if I make this time constant, or I'm able to access any previous time, it's going to generate the same first 10 random numbers in that time. So if I make this time constant by supplying a value, a constant value like this to it, and I run this script, every time I run, it's going to generate the same 10 random numbers. So meaning it is not locked. It's accessing the space in time to generate what is there. So that is what I mean by there is no such thing as luck and there is no such thing as accident. Every manifestation has a storage location in time that you can always access. So you want to access a particular program, there is a time that program will execute, will run in that radio station. So you tune your frequency to that radio station, and then you tune, as at that time, you will hear the broadcaster and you will hear that program. So every moment in time, you go to that time, it is that same program you are going to listen to in that frequency. So 3 a.m. every Tuesday, it is that time, and it is that radio station, and it is that broadcaster. Right? So that is what I want to show you. That once you are able to access the time, you are able to access the frequency, you can always access the power that is in that place. So this is the formula in that time to generate that random values for you to see. So let's go to code block. Let us see how this program runs. Okay, so this is a program for the random number generation. So this is our function. These are all the libraries that we have included in order to be able to use our tools. So this is the get random function that we've created, and this is the array, static array that we have created that is going to be stored in the heap memory. So this is our srand function, and this is our run function we are using to populate it. So this is the main, creating a pointer, then pointing that pointer to the address that this get random will return. So and then we are using a for loop to pull out the values from the array. So let's execute this program for you to see. Now I run this, see, it's generating random values. So let me do something now for you to see. I'll do this. First, take a screenshot. Then I'm going to paste this here. All right, so I'll remove that. Then I'll do this. Now I'm going to call it again. I'm going to run this program again. So this is the new random values. So see the old one. See the old one. See the old one that was generated. So you see, the first one was 1766, 12656. You can see that it's generating a different random values, right? This was the first one. Now I ran it again, it generated this. Okay, so this is what I want to show you. Don't save. Now, if I comment this out, if I comment this and I remove this one, so I am putting a fixed time into this run and I'm going to execute it. So when I execute this, it will generate this random value. Now I'm going to take a screenshot of it and I'll keep it for you to see. So I am putting this here, right? So I'll minimize. I'm going to exit this program. I will run it again with this fixed value. See what it's giving me. Now let's check what it gave me before. See, same. So meaning I am accessing that same time and I'm executing my program. It's going to populate the same value on the screen for me to see. So there's no such thing as log. What you are calling log is the manifestation that came out at a particular time. Now, because you did not take notice of all the processes you went through to execute it, that's why you are calling it log. If you can write down all your processes, meaning you are trying to get out an output and you put out the values, and then there was a particular emotional state you found yourself when that value came out. If you supply that same value again and find yourself in that same emotional state, you will produce the same output. That is what I'm telling you. So you can see, based on it, you are getting the same output as before because we are accessing the same time. So the time becomes the seed. So there's time for everything, meaning every manifestation has a time. If you access that time, which is in the past, you can repeat that same output. So you will see what happened in the past. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So this is what I want to show you in this class. So till we see in the next class. Bye-bye.